might be a bit of a silly question. I don't even know if it's true or not.
Okay.
But, so I've heard that the Prophet Muhammad had more than 4 wives.
Yes, he did, yeah.
So I was going to ask what the reason.
Prophet Muhammad had like 9 wives at once.
The understanding of that is. Like, why did he have more than 4, basically?
Yeah. So Prophet Muhammad was different from us, that he was a messenger of God, right? So he had different responsibilities and he had different requirements to the people. Meaning that we cannot look at the Prophet ﷺ and see what he was doing and
give him the same.
Yeah, and give him the same like things that apply to us. And I'll give you an example, right? So we say there are things that which the Prophet has, which we call khususiyat, which means things specific to him being a messenger of God. Okay? So I'll give you a few examples of these things. Because some people will be like, okay, but that's very convenient that one of these things that he has as exceptions is he can have more wives. Okay, so let me give you other examples of things that the Prophet ﷺ had. You know, in Ramadan, you know, the month of Ramadan, usually Muslims pray in the night time for hours, right? Now, Prophet Muhammad, we call it the night prayer. Okay, and Muslims do it in Ramadan, and it's not obligation; it's just a voluntary thing. Prophet Muhammad has an obligation to pray the night prayers every day. Yeah, you know, imagine standing for 6 to 8 hours or 9 hours in the night time praying to God every night. That was an obligation upon Prophet Muhammad to do. Yeah, that's how long it takes. It takes more than that, actually, if you pray the entire night, right? Aisha radiallahu anha, his wife, she said that Prophet Muhammad would stand until his feet start to basically open and crack and swell, right? For how long the Prophet Muhammad would stay all night. Is that it? No. Prophet Muhammad would fast something which we call wisal fasting. Wisal fasting is, he would fast, we usually fast from dawn to sunset, sorry. Prophet Muhammad would not stop at sunset, he would continue to fast without breaking his fast for multiple days. And people will come to him and say, oh Prophet of Allah, why do you continuously fast? He said to them, you don't do this. It's only for him. He said, because my Lord feeds me and gives me drinks. So Allah has given him this ability to be able to fast for long days. Every Monday and Thursday, the Prophet would also fast. Every Monday and Thursday, right? For us, if you want to fast, you can fast. If you want to eat, you can eat. Yeah, you can do what you like. Prophet Muhammad would pray in the morning. Is he only praying in the night? No. There's a prayer in the morning called Dawah prayer, right? These are all voluntary prayers. Prophet ﷺ would pray in the morning. This is after sunrise. He would pray multiple units again. For hours again, right? Then Prophet Muhammad, is that it? No. There was 12 other units which Prophet Muhammad would pray nearly every day after the 5 daily prayers. Now, leave the 5 daily prayers that we're praying. The Prophet before Dhuhr, before this prayer of Dhuhr, or before Fajr, he will pray 2. Before Dhuhr, he will pray 4, and then after he'll pray 2. Right? After Maghrib, he'll pray 2. After Isha, he'll pray 2. Okay, all of these are prayers the Prophet continuously doing, right? So, the obligations that Prophet Muhammad had and the things that he was doing that were obligated to him from God, would that be something that someone does that is picking convenience and was not a true messenger of God? Would he be doing this? That's the last thing he would be doing, right? So now, when it comes to the marriages of Prophet Muhammad, right? So, what are some of the wisdoms that we can see? You look at those marriages, many of the marriages that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ conducted was for political reasons. So for example, the first marriage that Prophet ﷺ had, he was 25 and his wife was older than him, right? Some narrations would say she was 15 years older than him or so, Khadija. And he was with her until she passed away, till she died. He didn't marry anyone. And then the people came to him and they said, oh look, Prophet of Allah basically doesn't have a wife, let's try and find him a wife. And then they gave him suggestions. Then he married a widow. By the way, all the Prophet's wives were widows or divorcees with the exception of one, Aisha.
Are you saying so like he would marry widows and divorcees to sort of make it like a good thing?
That's one way, right? Like a woman that lost her husband in war at these times, like you have no one to take care of them. Yeah, and they would be older women, right? A Prophet would marry them. But not just that. The political things I was telling you is, for instance, you have Safiya. Safiya was the wife of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. She was the leader, the daughter of the leader of the Jewish tribe. She's called Safiya bint Huyay ibn Akhtab. Huyay ibn Akhtab was the leader of the Jewish tribe. So when the Prophet married her, then her people will get closer to accepting the religion. Same thing with many of the other Prophet's wife. They were the daughters of the leaders of the tribes. For instance, the Prophet would marry the daughters of his closest friends, like Abu Bakr and Umar, his 2 closest companions. Their daughters, Hafsa and Aisha, Prophet married them because they're his closest companions, right? So if you look at this, you realize the Prophet ﷺ was doing things, you got to understand, people were very tribal. If I marry your daughter, it's like joining your family. You understand how it? Absolutely, absolutely. So times are different, and the Prophet's status was different from us. So what he does was for the embitterment for the society as a whole. If I'm able to bring the entire tribe of, Safiya, entire Jewish tribe, into closer to Islam, or closer to the Muslims, or more open to Islam by doing a marriage, then Allah will command them to do it, right? So yeah, that would be kind of, hopefully that kind of answers it.
No, that's good.
Yes.
Because you can't, I think it is logical that you can't judge a messenger of God by standards of someone who doesn't have.
Absolutely. And you know what? Look,
It makes sense.
I don't know. What's your religion? Are you religious or you're?
I'm not really religious.
You're not religious. Okay. If you look at Christianity and Judaism, for example, right? In Christianity and Judaism, you had David. David was a prophet of God. You had Solomon, who was a prophet of God. How many wives do you think Solomon had, according to the Bible? If you had to guess.
No idea. 10?
700 wives and 300 concubines. Okay. So if you talk about David, it was like, we don't know how many he had. It was so many. And then God in the Bible is like, I have given you so many wives, and I'm going to increase you. I could increase you more. Okay. Abraham, multiple wives. Moses, multiple wives. Like whichever prophet of God you want to look at, they had multiple wives. And a lot of people talk about. Let me ask this other question, which is very important, right? Because about this idea of multiple wives. In this country, it's illegal to have more than one wife by law, right?
I didn't even know that. It's illegal.
It is. It's not just this country, a lot of Western countries. So stupid, but yeah. So essentially, legally, you cannot marry more than one wife, right? So the question is this: how many women can I have according to the law? Not marriage, can I be with? Yeah. No, not marriage. How many women can I be with?
Oh, unlimited.
Unlimited. So how is it possible that it's okay in a Western society for me to have 1 million girlfriends where I will sleep with, live with, and do whatever I want with, but when it comes to marriage, no, I'm sorry, you cannot get married to more than one wife. How does that make any sense?
I see what you mean. Technically, if you have 4 wives in Islam, you've only been with 4 women rather than being.
Yeah. You can be with anybody else. Yeah. And you know, the overwhelming majority of Muslims, anyways, like you say, 90% or so, or more, only have one wife.
Yeah.
Because for you to have more, it's not a game.
It's like a financial responsibility.
Yeah, physical responsibility first. You have to be able to protect them and take care of them in every way, basically, right? And also, you need to have the financial responsibility of taking care of both of them. Not to talk about also, the fights and all of the stuff that you're gonna have here. If you're ready to deal with that, right? So that's a completely different story, right? But not only that, in Islam, if I have 2 wives and I do injustice to one of them, I have a specific punishment that is mentioned in the hadith on the Day of Judgment. I'll only come with my half on the Day of Judgment. So, as a punishment for me. So, it's not a game, basically. Islam says, you only come with your half as a punishment on the Day of Judgment for not being just to these 2 wives, right? That would be a sign that this person he had more than one wife, he was not just to them. Of course, there's punishment of hellfire and all of that. This is a sign that this individual had this specific sin, right? So, it's not a game. So, if I have more than one wife, Allah says in the Quran, it's a condition. فَإِن لَمْ تَعْدِلُوا. If you cannot be just, فَوَاحِدَ, then only one. There is no other religion or ideology, I would make the claim, that restricts the number of wives that you can have. Mention any. Except Islam. Islam is the only one that gives you a number, and it says if you're not able to be just, then what?
I had to mention one. Wouldn't Christianity count?
Nope. They will tell you, for example, you cannot divorce and all of that. It's okay, that's in the Bible. There is not a single verse in the Bible that says you cannot marry more than one wife. In fact, I can show you right now verses in the Old Testament where God says, if you take another wife, don't neglect the first one, basically. Don't be bad to her. So it shows you that you can have more than one wife. Right, and I always ask Christians because they criticize this. I'm like, okay, all your prophets.
As a thing, because they always say, it says that one man.
Yes. Absolutely. You have your phone. You're welcome, because you don't have to trust me. Maybe I'm making this up, right? You'll be like, go online and be like, okay, does the Bible anywhere say ever? Yeah, does the Bible say anywhere ever that you cannot have explicitly, that you cannot have more than one wife? You're not going to find it. There isn't such a thing. I read the Bible from beginning to end. There's no such thing. The only thing it shows is all of these prophets of God. And they will tell you, this prophet was punished for something, right? No, he wasn't. These other prophets, Abraham, Moses, all of the other prophets that had polygamy, God never condemned them for polygamy specifically. God condemned them for doing bad relationships or whatever, right? Not for polygamy. He never said you cannot have polygyny or polygamy or any form of these things, right? So Islam, people like to criticize Islam, and a lot of the people in the West, even if they're atheists, like for example, or Christian, whatever, they criticize Islam for this. But at the same time, like I said, it's okay for you to have unlimited girlfriends. It's okay for one woman to have multiple partners. Okay, why are you coming to Muslims and are like, okay, marry only one woman? Why? Like, yeah, not that we're all trying to marry multiple wives. I'll tell you the truth, most Muslims are struggling to find one wife. They are in this economy where you're living in this, they're struggling to find one wife, let alone like have like 2 or 3 or 4. Like, it's all theoretical back and forth that we're having. So, what's your position about God then? Do you believe in a creator and a higher power?
I believe in God, yeah.
You believe in God?
I'm not associated with any religion.
Sure. So, what's preventing you from being a Muslim then? Do you have any other issues with Islam that you're finding that you're...
Any other issues? I think the barrier just becomes where like you kind of, it's hard to, I don't know, religions in general just feel a bit too man-made.
Okay, can you clarify? Because that's a very common thing.
To clarify. I know what you mean.
Yeah, because people say that, but when I ask them, what do you mean?
Yeah.
They can't give me specifics, right?
I think it feels like, it almost feels too, like we're too important in the sense when you think about the earth in this position, how vast the universe is.
That's a Christian thing.
But what do you mean?
That we're the center of the universe or whatever.
I don't mean that. I mean like, if you just think about how vast the universe is.
Okay, I got you. Yeah.
Even if God created the universe, why would
Sure.
you care about us specifically?
Okay.
So like,
Perfect. I always say that this is one of the funniest like objections that I see when people talk about God. Why? Because if Allah only created us, planet Earth, and you came to an atheist and like believe in God, he's like, what? We only exist. There's nothing else. Why do I need to believe in a God? Right? But when there is a universe and you show them, look, there's a magnificent creation that you and me are so insignificant in comparison to. So believe in that creator, that his power is demonstrated within that creation, right? Then the person has no objection, no argument that they can make. When we speak with atheists, we're like, okay, we use the universe's existence as proof for the existence of God. Allah in the Quran says, وَالَّذِي خَلَقَ سَبْعَ سَمَاوَاتٍ, He's the one who created these heavens, and He created the earth, right? And then Allah says, لِتَعْلَمُوا, so you can know. أن الله على كل شيء قدير, that Allah is able to do everything and He's encompassed everything in knowledge. So Allah said He created this so you can know how powerful He is, how knowledgeable He is, right? Absolutely. So we are insignificant. Completely true, absolutely true. We're not the only creation of God. There's multiple other creations. There are creations on earth, which Muslims believe in, that we don't see. We call the jinn, for example, right? There are creations, Allah in the Quran says, He created these heavens and whatever, and He put in them creation that we don't even know. Allah says, وَيَخْلُقُ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ, He creates that which you do not know. There's a lot of creation that we do not know, right? So just because we don't see, anything else with our eyes, doesn't mean there's nothing there. But at the same time, how can this magnificent universe, now I'm going to use the argument but turn it back, right? How can this magnificent universe exist if there is no creator? It's impossible, right? So when you look at the universe and everything on earth, does everything has a purpose? Is it running in a function? Right? You see these ants, talk about brain. It's like, oh, I have this big head and this big massive brain. You look at an ant or termites, which is by the way smaller than ants even, right? You look at ants and they're so small and there's no way that they will have any brain. But you have them have an army, prison system, a queen system, and military, and like they're more sophisticated than some of our armies, right? Who guided them to do this? You look at the rest of the creation, everything in the universe. You look at this tree, right? Nobody tells it to regrow. When it dies, the water comes down, the sun is there, it regrows on its own, it dies again, it regrows, fruit comes in. Allah in the Quran says, look, Allah sends down the water. Is it the same water or different water? It's the same water. But from that water you have vegetation coming. Different colors, different tastes, different shapes, from the same tree. Same water, right? So all of these are signs for us so we can recognize the Creator, right? So when we talk about the religion, what does the word religion mean? That's the question, right? Do you want to say it's your connection with God, a certain set of rules and morals that you follow?
I would say it's sort of like an instruction manual for life.
Sure.
And it kind of builds a moral basis.
Sure. Then you have religion too right now, even if you're not Muslim. You'll be following the religion of the laws of the UK, or you'll be following the religion. Everybody is following, if that is a definition of a religion,
Some sort of
set of rules and regulations. Okay, but these set of rules and regulations, either they are from God and they're perfect, or they're man-made and human. So now, why would I follow human man-made laws over the laws of the Creator, who's perfect? Like, where would you? Let me ask this question.
Yeah, 100%. If you knew, like, if you had a strong belief that there was laws that were created by God, of course, 100%.
Yes.
100 out of 100 times you follow.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So that's why I'm saying, like, that's why I was saying, what's stopping you from being a Muslim? But I'm gonna ask this question: how do you right now determine what is right and wrong?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I would say just it's kind of basic, but sort of like something you wouldn't want to happen to yourself or your loved one.
Okay, do to others as you want done to yourself. Okay.
Rule, right?
Okay. Yeah, this rule, which is a liberal, it's a liberal rule.
Yes.
It comes from John Stuart Mill, and they have the harm principle: do what you want as long as you don't harm anyone else. This is a liberal rule, right? But this rule has many deficiencies. I can give you some examples if you want. It has many deficiencies. For example, if two brothers, I'm gonna get a bit graphic. If two brothers want to do something, we're not gonna say what was that something you're gonna do.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Is that right or wrong?
I would say that's wrong.
Okay, so but according to the rule,
According to my rule,
there's nothing wrong with that.
I guess there is technically, according to my rule, there's technically nothing wrong with it.
Yes.
But then, okay, maybe you could like add to my rule and say like society has a general consensus.
So now we're moving the goalpost, right? Okay, so if the society has a general consensus on something, does it make it right? Okay, so do you realize that what we're talking about is being, some people are attempting to legalize it in some places in America. Incest, basically. They're trying to legalize it in some places in America. So if it becomes societally accepted there, then we'll be like, okay, we have no issues then, right? So I'm saying these rules, yes. Okay, if someone wants to take his own, then how does that rule stop? He's like, I'm suffering, I don't like this life. He doesn't have a family, so nobody's going to be sad, and he wants to end everything. Why not? You see, this rule is very deficient.
This is actually a good. So something happened recently in Spain. She's 25-year-old woman.
Yes.
And she got approved for euthanasia.
Yeah.
And because she had some like chronic spinal injury and a bunch of other stuff that happened.
Yes.
She had like a main accident. Pain.
And she had been like sexually assaulted.
Yeah.
What would if she's just in constant pain, what would your view, what would your advice be in that instance?
Yeah, I mean, look, for pain you can take painkillers and stuff like that. But in Islam doesn't give you that permission to take your life, right? Because this life is God given to you, right? And this life is a test. Is anybody not suffering? By the way, you look at the richest man in the world, you think he's not suffering, he's probably suffering a lot more than you. Just behind closed doors, right? He's got his own issues. If I have a lot of money, everyone want to use me for money. Everyone will get to know me for money. Every woman wants you for your money. Nobody sincerely wants you, right? You have all of these problems with business and taxes and all this. Thing is, everybody's suffering in some way. And this is our test in this life, and we got to deal with our test as much as we can, yeah? So, in the end, like I said, it's either you're not going to have a set of rules, right? You're going to have deficient set of rules like you gave me, or you're going to have a perfect set of rules and morals which comes from the Creator. So, for example, and some people don't like this example, I'm going to give it anyways. Alcohol. Islam, Islam's approach on alcohol is very popular, right? It's very famous, right? It's just like no alcohol at all, zero alcohol. Okay, but the community says it's okay. Yeah. How does that rule apply when we look at a community basis? Anybody can drink, right? Drink. But how does the drinking affect the society as a whole? Okay. Yeah, according to the Metropolitan Police, 60-70% of the night crime, people under influence, drugs or alcohol, domestic abuse, children, what happens to them, and families broken.
I don't even like.
Yeah. But
least favorite part is people drinking.
Yeah. But if they don't drink, even if they don't do anything to anyone else, they're killing their body. 0.00% of alcohol is good for you. Kidney failure, cancer, bad skin, everything. So when Allah says don't do this, someone is like, you know what? But I'm not an alcoholic. I can drink a little bit. But does anybody start being an alcoholic? No, you start a little bit, then you become an alcoholic. And Allah, absolutely. And Allah gives a rule for everyone, not just for me or Michael or John. Allah is going to give it to everyone, right? So, but without Islam, where is that rule? Christianity doesn't say that. Judaism doesn't say that. Hinduism doesn't say that. It doesn't. So if they don't say that, then we're going to end up with these problems in society. Islam says no gambling. Destroys your society. Islam specific, that are very detailed. You're not going to find them anywhere else. And that is why these rules are the rules from God, the rules from the Creator, right? That's why we follow it. So, is it man-made religion or God-instructed instructions? Yeah, it's just like, you see, people use that term, but in reality they're following something else that is deficient.
I mean, you could say theoretically someone could say it's not good to drink, you shouldn't gamble, you shouldn't think, right?
Yes.
So,
but these are only 2 or 3. But the Quran has. But how would they know? How would they know it though? How would they know? But not only that, how would they know these things, these teachings? Number 2, how would they apply on a societal basis? When something comes from God, I can come and tell you, this is from God, right? It's not from me. You may not like me, you may not think I'm intelligent enough, but this is not from me, it's from God, right? And you gotta follow the teachings from the Creator, and that unites the people, right?
I agree. I think if it was just someone saying you shouldn't do this,
yes.
you're not gonna get 2 billion people to not do it.
Yeah, I'll be like, you're not better than me. I want to do it. You don't want to do it. You can get it done. So without God, or specific religion actually, or specific teachings from God or revelation, you cannot have objective morality. You can have personal opinions. I think this, personal preference. I like this, I don't like that. Then you have chaos in the community. So that's why we're inviting people to, connect with the Creator, follow the teachings that is coming from God. Because it's for us. It's for my embetterment when I'm following these rules. There's nothing in Islam that when I do, I'm not the one who benefits. God doesn't benefit from this. Some people talk about prayer. Allah doesn't benefit from my prayer. Look at these studies, for example, it talks about people when they meditate or do any form of prayer, how much it influences their psychology, how much peace and tranquility and all of these things that gives them, right? So these things are for us in the end. It's teaching us, it's bringing us closer to each other, it's removing racism where everybody's playing together, removing discrimination, stuff like that. It's all for us, it's not for the Creator. For the Creator doesn't benefit. So we're following these things because they come from God, right? That's, my invitation to you, inshallah, follow Islam and actually practice it in your life, right? I don't know, do you have a Quran?
I have Quran.
Sure. No worries. Yeah, no worries.
Yeah,
If you guys have any questions later, you're welcome to come back. Pleasure talking to you, my friend. Bye.